yet to figure out.
And welcome into Closest to the Wind. This is the Valero Texas Open edition. We got a full house. Justin's back from COVID watch. We got Detroit Dave, also known as Pro, in the house. And we got, of course, Guru, the man himself, the myth, the legend. And how you guys? How's it going, guys?
All is well. All is well.
Another fun Tuesday night. Ready to go.
Oh, man, this is going to be so much fun. It's almost kind of surreal because we're already grinding on the Masters, right? And it's like, we just got to get this one out of the way. But, the more I started digging into this one, I'm going to have fun this weekend with this tournament. And the Oaks course at TPC San Antonio, did you know that this is the longest running tournament in the PGA history for the same city, the same tournament? It's 99 years now. They've been playing this.
That's crazy.
In San Antonio. But it's now the AT&T Oaks course, designed by Greg Norman, and a little help from Sergio Garcia. How about that?
Nice little touch on that one.
And he's not even in the field.
You're right, not enough to show up.
Yeah. It's a par 72. It's almost 7,500 yards. The funny thing is I believe I played this course. I stayed at that JW Marriott in San Antonio for a big conference when I was at Culver's, and it was an amazing course. And I'm pretty sure I may still have the tag on my golf bag. I'm going to go check it out and see if this is the one I played. If it is, I'm sure I shot 150. But anyway, last year Corey Connors won. Actually, it was 2019. Prior to that, it was Charlie Hoffman, a guy that we were heavy on last week. In 2017, Ryan Moore and Brian Stewart in 2016. And, of course, Siwoo Kim himself won this thing in 2015. No, actually, he tied for fourth. I was actually talking about last year. That was Connors won 20. He was 20 under, and then it was Hoffman 18, Moore 17, and Stewart and Kim at 15 under. Really good course. The wind is going to be in play big time, and we're actually watching it really closely. And one of the things I really like about it is, hey, that's a wide open course, and it looks like the wind on Thursday morning is going to be pretty rough, and then it's going to start calming down by noon, and then it's going to be rough again on Friday afternoon, and it's going to be calm Friday. So I think there could be an acute advantage for those guys that are going to be starting out on Thursday afternoon and then playing Friday morning versus the Thursday morning, Friday afternoon guys. And I'll let Nick kind of go a little bit more into that and what he sees. But anyway, Nick, let's talk about it. What do you think about the course? What do you think about the field? What are some of your metrics?
Well, let's go with the we'll get to Scheffler in a little while. Hang tight, Ryan. Good to see you on, man. Good to see you on. So, having not played the course in 2 years, I dialed back the course history a smidge from probably where I would have normally had it.
What, did we lose the guru there for a second, David?
No, he's going.
No.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe I was gone too. All right, cool. I thought maybe the dial back the course history a little bit, but it's still there. But I bumped up the comp courses too. I'm a bigger fan of making sure. I'd rather there be consecutive years played in case there's been some little tweaks and stuff on the course. So the lack of, Connors is still the repeat champ, but I probably wouldn't count him as much of the repeat champ as maybe some other courses just because of the year gap in there. I went more Euro with the comp course in a stretch that, or in a sense that, everybody knows about Mayakoba, but I'm a bigger fan of the Earth course as far as trying to look for comparisons from Greg Norman. And the two things that they have in common, I suppose, they're both really long courses. And so, attacking with the, off the tee and the driving distance stuff is really big, and it's been historically, important. But the last couple of years, you've been able to see, shorter hitters, more of your, elite ball striker types do really well. So I veered from more of a heavy off the tee weight, if you will, and put it more on really the approach, and really, I want to say geared it slightly more towards accuracy, but not really. But I bumped up the around the green and the scrambling and things like that as well, because that's the angle I'm going to take. I mean, you're still going to have to score. I mean, bogey avoidance is going to be great. You're still going to need to birdie on, some of these par fours, and, if you can snag one on a par five or something. But the holes are long, the course is long, but, it's almost I don't want to call it a Pete Dye type thing, but you almost have to put it in the right spot to avoid the trouble, because there's all kinds of trouble around here. And, there's some interesting angles. I mean, there can be some interesting, things in play. But the biggest thing this week is probably going to be the wind. But the wind's been there for the last, wind's been there for the last, a few years, and it really hasn't killed anybody except maybe, Kevin Na or something like that, if you want to go that extreme, but that's more of the course itself. The form's still there, but I weighted it more again in that medium long term versus the short term. And, putting's important too. I mean, it's a hodgepodge, but really the biggest detriment to this week is, again, the fact that it's the week before the Masters. So do you really know who's coming to play? Do you really know who's using it as a tune-up? And then, who all is really here trying to snag that last spot that's not already qualified. So all kinds of variables in play, which is why you've seen some interesting people on the leaderboard, the last couple of years, and even as far as, DraftKings too. I mean, it's a lot of salary's been left on the table. Ownership's been kind of low. So, I mean, pick your poison, find your favorite wherever it is, and just run with it. So we'll see what we got.
Speaking of accuracy, this course is the second toughest course to hit greens in regulation. So I'm dead on with you on the accuracy thing. I really took that into account big time with kind of what I was digging into. Driving accuracy, irons, and approach, all of those things, even ball striking. I put them all into play. Pro. What's up, man?
Yeah, to Nick's point, I mean, this is kind of the last hurrah to have an opportunity to play next weekend, which we're all looking forward to. This golf course, the things that it has, I believe 3 of the 4 par 3s are over 200 yards. They have like a 240-yard par 3. With the winds gusting as we expect them to at different points, then it's definitely important on the draw. Based off morning to afternoon, it can make a big swing. But this golf course will be fun. It'll be exciting. Again, it just seems like even with the wind, even with the difficulty of the golf course, every week we're talking about somebody 12, 14, 16, 18 under. So I expect nothing different this week, wind or not. Somebody is going to go low, and so it'll be fun.
Yeah, and also on the par 5s that Nick was talking about, man, got 2 of them over 6 and 2 close to 6. And so those par 5s are going to be fun. So I definitely put par 5 scoring shots gained on that, or strokes gained. And so, but Justin, any thoughts on this course or how you put your strategy together?
Well, it's kind of like you were saying about the par 5s that I think that 18th hole, especially with the wind up, is going to make for some wild finishes. I mean, I think that that's going to have some teeth. Well, you will see whether the guys end up, making moves for it, if they're downwind or if they, the wind's against them, whether they'll be knocking them down. So I think the par 5s will make a big difference in this one this week.
Yeah, I believe that. Ryan's asking a question. Would you guys like would do like a 4-2 stack PM to AM?
Depends on the guys you use, but probably. I wouldn't fade an elite guy in the morning for a subpar guy in the afternoon.
right? Don't overdo it. Like, you take it into consideration, but like, don't.
If you have two guys that are really close, that could be a veto. It could be a sway vote for you, but don't try to go all in on the win, because to you guys' point, 20 under won this thing last year in 2019, and like I said, it's an open course. The wind's always blowing, so it's whoever manages to win the best. And I did my model, Nick, is I did it the whole model on a moderate wind, and it looked definitely a lot different than without the moderate wind. And so there's a few funny ones out there I'm going to talk about, but they're what the hells, why not? Well, it's only money. What are we going to do with this money we lose? It doesn't matter.
We're going to keep buying autographed pictures to send out when people like and subscribe.
Gotta spend it somewhere,
and I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to say this right now. Guys, it's open season. Go to if you're watching this on YouTube, get in there, put a comment down. Who's going to win the tournament? If that guy wins, you get an autographed picture of that guy winning the tournament. And it's absolutely free, easy to do. Just like, subscribe, and comment who you think is going to win. If you're the first one to pick that guy, do it. Go pick DJ. He's the – oh, never mind. So anyway, go and make sure you do that. And All Falcon Day is in, and he's saying Hodges is a lock. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. Hodges was in a few of my lineups last week that cashed, but he really let me down on the last day.
Could he let us know how Rory did? None of us saw.
Yeah. I will say that last week, when we won't touch much on it, but we had a really good week last week. All of us. Nick, you finished second in a big tournament, GPP, and I know everybody else did well. We had a couple of guys, congrats to them, that took down GPPs. We nailed an outright winner with Joel Damon, and you know what, Joel Damon's a class act, isn't he? What a cool guy that is.
Love that guy.
And came real close to hitting on Scheffler. Came real close to having the elusive double, and so it didn't happen. But good job, Scheffler, on what you did. I think believe it or not, I think the wind kind of got to him. And so, anyhow, let's get to it, man. You guys ready to do this?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's go straight to DFS. And we're going to go straight to the plays and fades. As you guys know, 10K, 2-1, 9K, 2-1, 8K, 3-1, 7K, 3-1. Then we're going to do some value plays. And then we're going to jump into optimal lineups, and we're going to jump into some outright picks and all that fun stuff. So all that fun stuff out of the way, we are going to start with Guru for 10K. And there's not many guys up there, but it'll be real fun to see who gets played and who gets faded.
Yeah. I was hoping to go last because I have a feeling that, I'll be the rebel.
Well, you know what? We can put you last.
No. It's all good. It's all good. So, basically you've got four guys. So you've got Scotty, you've got Finau, you've got Spieth, and you've got Decky. So where do you want to go first? So I'm going to go Decky. Decky is my first 10K guy. Now, I'm going to take 10K Decky because, he's a bit of a ball striker and he can't putt, right? So a lot of the guys here have been pretty decent ball strikers that couldn't putt. So that's kind of fits slightly, bit of the profile. He did okay at Houston in the fall before the Masters, used it as a tune-up. Not saying he's in the same kind of form as the fall, but you know what? Maybe he uses his place as a tune-up for next week and he gets it going. So I think he'll come to play because he came to play in the fall. I like the fact that he's playing with Phil, another lefty. So Phil goes before him. He can kind of see what he does. Kucher's in form and actually plays the course pretty well historically. So that pairing actually works for me. If you look at I went a little different this time. I went 35 days. I went 35 days because that takes me back about 5 tourneys most of the time if you play all of them. But it's going to be somewhere between a 12 rounds, 16 rounds, 20 rounds, depending on how many tourneys you were there. So I went for the time more so than the rounds. But over the last 35 days, I was kind of surprised that Decky's 49th off the tee, 15th in approach, 13th around the green, and 55th in putting. For the approach and the around the green, that's actually pretty good for here. And, considering where he's been lately, I'll take the 55th putting. I'll eat that all day long. And the big thing that I liked about him, this is one of those weeks where the model didn't really tip its hand anywhere. Usually I've got some guy that just is across the board great in some category, but it's one week where everybody had a flaw. which kind of puts again to the strength, the field, the course, the whole deal. But I didn't mind his sort of flaw being the comp courses. Otherwise, he's top 10% and everything else. So I'm going to let it ride and see how it goes. So Deggy's pick number 1. Now it gets really interesting with pick number 2 in terms of where you want to go. So it's more a process of elimination for me. So, Scheffler's at the top. I have no problem with Scheffler, but, he's the top of the model, but he's not the top price guy. I think he may be out of gas, for lack of a nicer way to say it. So I'm going to take a pass on the top guy in the model. So the next guy, you're coming down to Finau and you're coming down to Spieth. Finau, highest priced guy, and pretty much, the rule of thumb is the guy needs to win. I'm going to take a pass because he still hasn't won. So that leaves me with Jordan Spieth. So I like the fact that he's got the partnership with Corey Connors and or threesome with Palmer and Connors. I know it's the morning, but I'll take a stab at it. The 5 trips here, he's got 3 top 30s. 3 top 30s in the 5 trips here. And his last 35 days, 42nd off the tee, 5th in approach, 41st in putting. And I'm going to cringe and cover my eyes at that, 85th around the green. And hopefully he just comes to play and uses it as a Masters tune-up like everybody else and really, fine-tunes his game even further so he can cash those outrights for everybody here that has them going for next week. So there's my second. And then basically now you're back to the fade category. And who do you pass on? I'm going to take a pass on Tony because, again, I just don't think he's going to win. But what I don't like, so he's got the 3 times here. He's got a 68th, he's got a 3rd and a 61st. And if you take all his rounds together, he's barely a little over 72. That's not really great for course history. I don't like the fact that he's playing with Damon and can't read my own damn handwriting. Nobody really great that I think was going to help him. Now, the last 35 days, he's second off the tee, which is kind of a bummer to fade, but he's 44th in approach. But that 73rd around the green kind of scared me a little bit, and the 27th in putting. I'm going to take a pass. And then just to give you a little DraftKings perspective. So if you look at the last 3 years in terms of top 12s, there have only been 7 out of a possible 36 guys over 9K that hit the top 12. So you look at the last 3 years, the big money's not really coming in and playing. So I'm okay fading it because I just don't think it's going to hit. So Finau's my fade.
Awesome. All right, Justin, let's go to you, man.
Okay, so he's hit on all my guys. So I think Hideki was my number 1 guy in the 10K range. It's I just think this week sets up really well for him. I think if he's not going to do it a week like this week, he's just not going to do it. And I'm well documented of giving up on Hideki, but I'll go back for one.
Go back to the well, man. Go back.
Yeah. And Finau was my other play. I think he comes back into form. He was second 3 weeks in a row. He was 14th. Then he's playing great golf, and in this field, I'll go ahead and I'll take Finau as my second guy. And like I said, we're not really fading a guy here, but I'll get on the bus of Scheffler being a little bit out of gas. And maybe he's not as hard all there this week. Looking forward to next week. So I'll fade Scheffler and ride the wave there.
All right, Pro, what do you got?
Yeah, so I mean, we're all, of course, touching on familiar names here.
There's only 4. There's only 4.
I will take Scotty Scheffler. Yes, I understand the argument running out of gas. However, the dude's 24 years old. He's got to get his shit together if he's running out of gas. He had a really good week last week. Listen, one thing about Scotty Scheffler, the wind started blowing. It started blowing heavy on Sunday, and his ball flight is not necessarily something that excels in the wind. He tends to hit a high ball. You do not see him hit very, things low often, which was the opposite of Billy Ho. And guys out there like that, Billy Horschel can hit, the thick dick high off the ground. So I will. I'm going to take Scotty Scheffler this week, though. Although we talked about the win, the guy's been rock solid all year. He's got 3 top 10s. He was tied for 20th here last year, 2019. I will take him. I will also take Jordan Spieth. Shocker here. I mean, this is the best player in the field right now. I expect Jordan Spieth to win this week. Again, he was runner-up in 2015, 30th last year, and he was 30th last year when Jordan Spieth was just tanking. So he knows how to get around this golf course. He's the guy I'm going to go with. You guys know I'm not going to waver from that, and I have no reason to. He's been rock solid. I mean, he made it to the round of 16 last week. He lost by 1. Controversial drop. I'm not going to get all upset about it. And then I'm going to fade Tony Finau. And the reason I'm fading Tony Finau is he was ass last week, right? He was terrible. He got mopped in the first round by Dylan Fratelli. Like it was an embarrassment. And I know he had the multiple back-to-backs and he was in super good form, but it seems like recently, in my opinion, for what I've seen, he hasn't been all there. Last week did not do him any favors. If I'm fading anybody in this category, it's going to be Tony Finau as well.
I got you, man. Hey, Justin, who do you fade?
I faded Scotty.
Oh, okay. All right. So for me, I'm going with chalk. I'm going with Finau, and I just think he's too good of a player. Last week he did not look good. You guys are right, but I really like his game. I like what he does for this course. He did finish top in my model for moderate windy conditions, and this model's going to make or break me. And then what I did was I took my model and then I compared player for player on Guru's model and came up with a blended ranking. And I can't fade a guy like Finau. And so, I mean, now for my model, I used obviously approach was the highest at 25%. And then I went off the tee at 20%. I did go 12% greens in regulation, 12% tee to green, 10% driving distance. And then I went 5% on all of par fives, opportunities gained, and birdie or better, and then a 6% on ball striking. And Tony Finau was third in approach, 7th off the tee, 8th in driving distance, 5th in greens in regulation, 5th in tee to green, 14th in par fives, 3rd in ball striking, and 16th in birdie or better. I cannot deny those numbers in moderate windy conditions. And so I'm taking Finau all the way. I'm also going with the 24-year-old Scheffler. I know he's played a lot of golf. I think he was disappointed in his game. I think he's going to come out. I think he liked being in that last group, and I think he relished it. And I think he also is one of those guys that just forgets things, and he just keeps going. He kind of reminds me of Hovland a little bit. You know, nothing shakes him, nothing rattles him. He was fine. And so I think he's going to come out with something to prove this week. And he's number 1 in our model. When he's number 1 in Guru's model and he's number 3 in my model, I'm not going to fade a guy like that. I am going to fade Jordan Spieth, and just because the model in windy conditions, Jordan Spieth is 80. He's 64th in approach in this field. He's 92nd off the tee. He's 106th in greens in regulation in windy conditions, and his very best category is par 5 scoring. And he's 16th in the field. But other than that, he's woefully bad in these kind of conditions. Now, it's probably going to burn me bad because he knows this course and in the conditions. They know how to play this. And so I'm probably putting too much weight on that, and that's going to be shame on me. But that's
I certainly hope so.
Yeah. I just can't deny the numbers. I mean, the numbers are not good. The number, and this is based on the last 24 rounds. This is not like I took his numbers from last year. And so it's what spit out on Fantasy National. So that's my fade. But all right, let's jump right to 9K. Let's do this. We'll start with Justin on 9K.
All right, 9K. I expect this to be a very chalky pick, but I'm going to go with my guy, Abraham Answer. I mean, he's 2nd in driving accuracy, 19th in birdie average, and 14th in green regulation percentage. I just think he looking ahead to the Masters too. He's tuning up. He's gonna be a contender next week too, and I think he's my number 1 play at 9K. Easy call. Next, I'll go Ryan Palmer. I think he is sitting at 5th in the model. He's 9,400, and He's third in birdie average, and he's played this course 10 times since 2010. He's got 4 top 10s. And, sixth, fourth, and sixth.
He's
from
playing good.
2017. I mean, talk about a horse for the course here. So, local Texas guy, I'll take Palmer. He's playing some good golf last week. He was right there to advance. I mean, he was in that playoff, and it was close. He could have been right in the mix last week too.
That whole thing last week was just crazy. We didn't even talk about that. We'll touch on that at the end here. Okay, and you got a fade?
Yeah. So my fade is Matt Kucher. Same thing. I think he played, max amount of rounds last week.
And he's not 24.
He's not 24. He's closer to double 24, I think. But I don't know. I could see him just foot not fully on the pedal this week. And with this field, I'll take a pass on Kucher, especially in the 9K range.
Yeah, I think his price got inflated pretty high based on what he did last week. And to be in the 9K range was a little surprise to me because he has not been good for, traditional tournaments. He's great in match play, but anyway.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, you want to go?
Sure, why not? So I'm going to go top down, I guess, for a little while. So I'm going to go Corey Connors, number 2. He sticks out like a sore thumb to me. He didn't play great last week either, but I just don't think he really, I think he broke his match play maiden, so to speak, on the tour, and I think he'll come back next year a whole lot better. But again, he's playing with Spieth and Palmer, and I think the pairing is actually pretty good. He's in the top 10% again of everything, but the comps, and I'll take a shot at it. But he's still the defending champ, so that's kind of a offsetting thing right there. And the last 35 days, basically, he's 40th off the tee. He's 64th around the green, but he's 4th in approach and 7th in putting. 7th in putting for Corey freaking Connors.
I know.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and run with that and see where it gets me.
I like that one.
That's number 1. Justin hit a lot of it. I'm going to actually run with Ryan Palmer, number 2. I'm going to keep beating that dead horse. I'm going to ride that Spieth, Connors, Palmer pairing and think all 3 of them actually do pretty well and then hopefully, get into the weekend. He's the top 20% of every category except for other stats, but that's kind of slightly inflated and kind of geared a little bit towards the wind. You touched on the course history. In the last 35 days, he's 45th off the tee, 40th around the green, 39th in putting, 39th in approach and 69th in putting. So if he gets one of those hot putter weeks, kind of like he had going for stretches last week, I think he'll do okay. So that's 1 and 2. So 9K is really, really interesting to me because I think there's a lot of pretty good plays there, and a lot of them are stacked pretty high at the top. But I kind of like riding the hot guy, so I'm not going to fade Matt Kucher. So when you take Kucher out of the equation, then it's like, well, damn, they're all pretty good. Who do you fade? So I'm going to go out and left field a little bit, and so I'm going to fade Abraham Ancer. Yep. I know he's from San Antonio. Yep. I know he's probably ready to win. Yep. I know he's probably going to take it as a tune-up for next week, but I'm going to take a shot and fade him. The 3 times he's been here, he's got 2 42nds and a 58th. I think he might have been in better form before, not to say he's in terrible form now, but I think one of those trips he might have been in better form. I don't like the pairing in the morning with Cam Davis, and damn it, I'm just going to pull this up really quick because it's just going to bother me if I don't know who it is.
Yeah, he has that early morning tee time, and that wind is going to be whipping. The gusts are going to be.
Ben Martin. So 30. Cam Davis and Ben Martin. So yeah, that's a pass for me. He was 41st on as far as the comp rating I had with the model. I mean, he could do fine, but for that kind of price, I need him to really just get that top 10 or something, and I'm not convinced he will. And then the scary thing for the last 35 days, granted, I think it's only 3 tourneys, but he was about 95th in putting. I would feel a little better if that was a little stronger, especially trying to get into some crazy greens to prepare for next week, which will kick a lot of people's butts. So yeah, Ancer's my fade.
Wow. Yeah. So we're gonna have some fun with this one. I'll go ahead and go, and then we'll let Pro wrap up in the 9K range. I went with first guy that I'm playing for sure is Charlie Hoffman. Charlie Hoffman is really good on this course. We saw what he did in 2019 he finished second, or was it third?
Second.
Yeah, he finished second with minus 18. and he is a horse for this course. He kind of stumbled a little bit, but he was in the top 10 last week. He just came out really well. I mean, he's 7th in your model. He was 7th in my model, and so when you get a guy like that, and he's on the lower range of 9,000 at $9,200, that presents value for me in that range. And so I'm definitely going with Hoffman. And some more things on Hoffman, by the way, in this field with the windy conditions, he's 4th in approach. Okay, he's 3rd in greens and regulation. He's 4th in par 5 scoring. He's 3rd in opportunities gained, and he's 1st in birdie or better, and he's 11th in ball striking. All in this field in winning conditions, and that's why he did so well last year. And so, why wouldn't I take that guy at $9,200? I'm also now. I've been really tossing and turning all day on this next one because I wish I could take 3 in the 9K, and it's almost like, can I take 3 in? Because I really want to take I really want to take Tringali. Tringali has done well for us for months, and he came up in Guru's model way higher than I thought he would at 4th, and then when I ran the model, he was like 20th. But the more I looked at him and I looked at the numbers, I really like him, but I can't take him over Connors, and so I'm going to have to pass on Tringali at 9,300. I'm going to take Connors at only $200 more because he's legit elite in this field under these conditions. I mean, number 1 in opportunities gained, number 2 in ball striking, number 6 in tee to green, number 2 in approach. I mean, Corey Connors is ready and willing to destroy this course. 20 under last time he played it. I think he was disappointed last week, so I'm all in on Hoffman and Connors. And my fate is going to be Matt Kucher. I think we already talked about that. I think I love Matt Kucher, smiley Matt. Now, he almost pulled it off for Guru last week. Probably the only person in America that had him picked as an outright, and he damn near got it. But I think that week was an emotional toll on the older guy, and I just don't think he's going to be able to come out at that price point and produce. And I think it might be a little bit of a letdown. And so those are my 9K guys. I want to hear from Pro.
Yeah, I will also be taking Charlie Hoffman. I mean, there's not much more to say than you boys have already. We touched on these guys pretty well.
Yep.
Well, hang on. I think he's 10 for 10 cuts at the Oaks course, and then I think he's got the 5 before that too. So I think he's 15 in a row. So add that to your.
Okay. Let's just add that in there. Thank you, Nick. And then I'm going with Abraham Answer. And Justin hit on it. I mean, the guy to me, he's just rock solid. He's a guy that I look to next week. And the other thing is, this course does have some comparisons to what you'll see at Augusta National next week, which is strange for a Texas course. You would think, all outside of Blue Jack, which is down there in Houston, which is somewhat of a replica, whatever. But I do think that comes into play. I think Abraham Answers, he's rock solid. He got stunned last week, by the way, in match play.
That was unbelievable.
I was stunned. I think he was stunned. But I will go with Abraham Answer. My fade is Brendan Steele, and there is no other reason besides I just feel like I'm going to fade Brendan Steele's ass this week. That's just where I'm going with.
He came up pretty high in Nick's model, number 6.
He did.
Nick, you want to counter that?
No, I mean, I get the Kucher thing, but I mean, he's had pretty good success here on the tourney in the course too. And I think he got 7th in 19 after the match play then. So, maybe he was in better form then. So if you take him out of the equation, they're all right there. The problem is Steele just shows up, but he shows up at the weirdest times in the weirdest places. So if I had to pick somebody that wasn't Kucher, I could get behind that because he's the most likely to probably still make the cut, but probably the most likely to finish lowest of who's remaining in the 9Ks. So yeah, I'm with you.
I couldn't fade Kuch. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah. Well,
thoughts about it.
Well, Steele is on the bottom end of that price range too at 9K. So, 9,100, but I definitely get it. So yeah, we got some interesting picks. Maybe some side bets that happen on this one, especially involving Answer and Kucher. All right, let's go to 8K. I'll open up 8K this time, and I had a tough time on 8K. Normally, I love 8K. I didn't like 8K as much. Normally, I like 8K and not 9K, but this week I like 9K. But I've got Keegan Bradley, and I just, he's at the lower end of 8K. I just like what he's been doing. I was going to fade him, but I put him back in there. Believe it or not, Keegan Bradley, 13th off the tee in this field. He's 20th in my ranking. He does everything good, and he's striking the ball better than he has in a long time. But he was just one of the highest ranked guys in both models for the 8K range. I don't get excited about him. I'm not. But Guru had him at 21. I had him at 20, and so there he is. I have Siwoo Kim, and I'm nervous about that pick. And the reason I'm nervous about Siwoo Kim is because he seems to want to play big in the big tournaments, and sometimes he just doesn't give a crap, and it's funny. And so but the numbers are there, aren't they? I mean, he's right there. Once again, he's in the top 12 in the Guru's. Let's see where is he? Yeah, he's 12th for Guru, and then he came in like 30th for me. But I got Siwoo Kim, and then I had to take a third guy, and this is a reach. Okay, it's a big reach, but I'm going with Wise, Aaron Wise. And I know Guru kind of mentioned that, hey, he doesn't like Wise this week, but he sure popped hard, and he's at the bottom of the range at 8,000. But in this field, in windy conditions, he's 16th in the field in approach. He's 9th off the tee. He's 9th in greens and regulation. He's 11th in birdie or better, and he's in the teens in almost every other category. And so for that reason, at 8K at the bottom of the range, I'll take that guy because he's going to be a cheap 8K guy that actually has really good stats for this course. And then my fade is the customary Ricky Fowler. And I mean, why not? I mean, the guy's woeful right now, and until he proves that he's better, he's going to be my fade. I did have John Huh as my guys, but it's Fowler. It just makes sense. And so anyway, those are my 8K guys. We'll go straight to Nick on 8K.
Yeah, I mean, when I started running with the model, I don't think I'll end up playing too many 8K guys either, just because the way things seem to optimize, it seemed to want to go around it and kind of tiptoes in the 9s and 7s to bounce off any high plays. But yeah, got to pick some just to play the game. So right idea with Siwoo, but I'm going to go with the other member of the threesome. I'm going to go with Lanto. I know the rule of thumb is to don't play him when he's disgustingly high, but I'm going to take a shot at it. So I like the pairing. He played the course in 2018. He was, 58th, but I think he's a better player, better form, better shape now. He's top 20% in terms of, average DraftKings points compared to the field. So he ought to be able to score compared to everybody else, and that's been a pretty good marker. And in the last 35 days, which I liked, he's 13th off the tee, 17th in approach, 38th in putting, and 74th around the green. So I'll take a stab. So he is numero uno. Then it gets a little interesting from there. So let's go. I'm going to keep riding him and hope to God he just pays off. So kind of going off in left field a little bit, but I'm going to go back to Zach Johnson. Little shorter hitter, but, pretty good with the putter, does okay in the wind. So I'm okay with the Percy and Munoz pairing. I don't think it's too bad. He's top 10% in the field in terms of, DraftKings points. He's got 4 top 30s in the last 5 trips here to the course, so he can get his way around here. He's got some pretty good stats older than that as far as the course too, but we won't take it back too far. And then the last 35 days, he's 46th off the tee. He's 34th around the green, third in putting. And then I'll take a shot with that 97th in approach that maybe, the wind gets crazy and he, does some freaky cool things with it. And, we'll see how that goes. Might be an interesting first round leader bet or something like that, but, we'll touch on that later. Then the mystery wildcard third guy, I'm going to keep riding the Chris Kirk heater just because it just makes too much sense not to ride him. His stats are pretty well-rounded across the board. He's a top 10%, DraftKings points in the field score, so that's going to help. He's got 3 top 13s in the last 4 trips here, and he's in remarkably better form now than he was then. So if he can whip it around the course like he did then, I tend to think that, maybe the 13 is the floor rather than the ceiling. He's got 5 top 25s in his last 7 starts, so he's running in pretty good form. And then if you look at the last 35 days, 24th in off the tee, 41st in approach, 6th around the green. And if he can get a little warm with the putter, he can improve on that 66 marker. So, yeah, those are my 3, and they're all in the top of the 11th, 13th, and 15th in the model. So, it seems to be a pretty good spot. And then, I get the wise play, but I'm going to trust the model this time. When in doubt, go with the model. That's what everybody else seems to do. So I'm going to follow everybody else's lead this time. So I'm going to fade Aaron Wise, and I'm going to fade Aaron Wise because I could be, I will say this before I go fade Aaron Wise. I'm on a really good play the guy I fade streak because I seem to fade him a week early. It doesn't matter what tourney, what course. And if there's a guy that I'm wrong on, it's probably going to be Aaron Wise. Now, the last 5 tourneys, he missed the cut, 66, missed the cut, 65th, and then 13th. I'm fading him just because of the overall, but if he's getting his act right and I'm 1 week, too late in doing it, it's going to come back and burn me pretty good. But the 69th in approach and the 83rd in putting over the last 35 days scare me off a little bit. But yeah, got to fade somebody. He's down there, and I'm more comfortable fading him, so he's my fade.
I like it. It'll be fun. We'll have to do a little, we'll bet a Mountain Dew on that one. All right. Hey, Pro, let's go you.
Yeah, I'm going to somewhat similar. I'm going to go with Keegan Bradley as well for most of the reasons that you mentioned. His form's been really good lately. His putter is certainly up and down, and we understand that. But he's really kind of got his game back. From the anchor ban, there was a low point. When the anchor ban came and he was kind of messed up, he went with kind of like the Kucher up the left arm putty method. He's really seemed to be playing better. He's a guy that I like. I also like Chris Kirk for a lot of the reasons that Nick mentioned. His last 3, 25th at PGA National, 48th at the Players, 8th at Bay Hill. His form's there. He does have 2 top 10s this year, and he's 22nd in scoring average. So I think Chris Kirk's just kind of an under-the-radar, rock-solid player at this point. And in a lot of the times when we're looking at DFS lineups, we've seen Chris Kirk down in that 7,000 range or even the 6,900 range. So his game's proving that he belongs in a little bit of higher category. For the third guy, I'm going to go with Siwoo Kim. Listen, he's a guy that makes a bunch of cuts. He was tied for 4th year in 2019. So the last time we were there, he has 3 top 10s on the year so far. I'm going to ride him. And not to beat a dead horse, I'm fading Ricky. I mean, I really hope Ricky plays well. I hope Ricky wins. I really do. But Dave, like you mentioned, until he shows me that he's somebody that I can throw a buck or 2 on, I'm going to fade it until I can.
Yeah, I know he has to win this, and he's going to really feel bad watching all his boys at the Masters, and he's not in the field. It's going to get real for him next week when he doesn't get to drive down Magnolia Lane, and that's going to suck for him. And he's going to be out there doing it all he's got, but he just doesn't have the form. So I don't blame you. All right, Justin, we saved the best 8Ks for you, man.
Yep. So I'll let it out at the beginning that Ricky's obviously my fade too. I wouldn't play him if he was in the 6K range. Like
I wouldn't either. I mean, he's got to prove it.
He's just not playing well. He's not going to make the cut, and he's not going to get, I like Ricky, but I'm all out until I see him really pick it up.
All right, Justin just said he's not even going to make the cut. So
I disagree with that. I think I disagree with that, but we'll see.
Well, just to tease this up a little bit, he did end up 19th inside the top 20 in Guru's model, and so
yeah, I know.
But I don't know. I still can't go there.
Al Falcon Day says Ricky stinks. He's not wrong.
He does.
He's not wrong.
Anyway, so you started with the fade. Let's go ahead and get some guys you like in there.
All right. So my three guys you've all hit on. I got Keegan Bradley, Zach Johnson, and I got Chris Kirk. I mean, I think those three sitting there at 84, 85, and 8,600. I mean, they're just those guys are money right now. You know, Keegan is 6th in approach, 8th in tee to green. He's got a top 10 here. I mean, his stats are great across the board. He's been consistent. He's got to make the cut. And just like Zach Johnson, he's 12 for 12 making the cut his last 12. I mean, that's, right there in that range. He's going to be competitive.
I actually have Zach Johnson missing the cut this week.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I got him. I got Zach missing the cut. I think those par fives are going to eat him up. Those 600-yard par fives.
Yeah. Well, if the wind's up, that's possible. He does have the late Thursday, early Friday, which we were looking at that we kind of like.
That'll help him. That'll help him.
So that could help get him onto the weekend. And
I think Zach Johnson. I'm with Zach Johnson playing the weekend. I'm 100% with that, Justin.
I hope he does. I just some reason my model has him missing the cut. And
so those are my guys. The pro and I think Guru both hit on Kirk pretty well. He's a Georgia Bulldog, near and dear to my heart. So those will be my three, and I feel pretty good about the 8K guys. I think you can make a lot of weight with the 8K guys this week.
Right. All right. Well, Justin, go ahead and rattle off your 7Ks while you got it.
All right, 7Ks. Harold Varner III.
Yeah, we know you like him.
Yep, like him. He's coming in at 14th in the model. 7,900. His putting hasn't been great, which slightly worries me. He's 22nd in hit the green percentage. He's 25th in tee to green. I'll take a shot with him this week. I think the 7K range is kind of wide open. I think he's right at the top of it, but with 79. But he'll be my first play. My second play, 7,100. Chase Seifert. And
sneaky.
He's got 4 top 20s in his last, 6 to 7 tournaments. He's 12th at the Amex, 15th at Puerto Rico, 3rd at the Honda in the wind. And he's got one of those early late tee times, which I like.
What's his price?
7,400.
It's a good play.
125 to 1 odds on him.
I like that too.
34th in the model. I like him. I think he'll be extremely low owned, which is something that you always look for in DFS.
It's what it takes to win a GPP. You need a guy like that.
And then
a guy like
Sam Ryder.
And then who?
Sam Ryder will be my third guy. He tied second last week. He was 8th at the Honda, both of them in the wind. I think he's sitting right around, is he 50 in the model?
Yeah. 50.
Yeah, 50th in the model. So, you got to take a shot with some. He's 7,400. I don't think he'll be very high owned either. So that'll round out my 3. My fade, Ben An. He just not his game's not. I don't expect him to make the cut. If he does, it'll be on the number. I won't be sweating it out with him this week. That'll be my fade.
For the record, we have projected Sam Ryder at 12% owned.
Really?
Yeah,
that's more than I thought.
Yeah, it is more than I thought it would be too.
Everybody remembers the guy that did well last week. It's usually kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
Nobody, no, somebody's going to have a 2% on Phil Mickelson in their lineup, aren't they?
Oh, sorry.
All right. Give me your fade there, Justin.
It was Ben and.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Ben and.
Yeah. Did we ever fully cover the magic of CT Pan from a couple weeks ago? That was one of the Guru's finest moments.
It was. It definitely
Thank you.
was.
Appreciate that.
And so
we're gonna save it up till next time he plays, and hopefully we can sprinkle some Pan magic again.
I tell you what, man, he looked amazing, and I just he almost
he's literally
almost
5 foot tall.
there. But
have you ever seen the guy?
I told these guys
like
to win with the shirt.
Right. All right, Pro. Let's go ahead and get your 7K guys.
Yeah. So I'm also going to go with the HV3. Although he has 0 top 10s on the year, he's been kind of rounding into form. 19th at Honda, 21st at Bay Hill. This is kind of a good golf tournament for him. He's been a rock solid player. His putting has kind of failed him recently. So I will go with Harold Varner. I'm also going to go with kind of a surprise pick in Danny Willett. A guy that's kind of been under the radar getting his game back together. He was pretty good last week. In Corrales, he had 8th in Corrales, 31st at the Honda. I'm going to take him. And then the pick that I like is Phil Mickelson. I'm going to take Phil Mickelson. 25th at Honda, 36th of the Players. There's been some recent form from Phil. I know it seems crazy, but he has been playing somewhat better. His iron game has been fantastic. Give me Phil. And yeah, that's my out of the blue pick. But I feel good about it. And you can laugh now. I'm not laughing. I'll probably be.
I lost a bet to you because of him.
Yeah, I might be laughing to myself come Friday, but we'll see. My fade's Cameron Champ, and it's just simply form. He's missed 5 out of his last 6 cuts. He's been pretty terrible. I'll go ahead and fade Cam Champ.
All right. Okay, Guru.
I didn't think I'd end up where I ended up, so 7K was kind of a fun research project for me. But let's start at the top, and then we'll drift to Never Never Land. So I started with Munoz. He's 16th in the model. He's got an interesting pairing to me, and a lot of this is based on guys that I think are just going to get, contrasting styles or want to compete with each other, but he's playing with Pat Perez and Zach Johnson. So that was kind of intriguing to me. Zach's shorter, Munoz is going to be a little longer. He's top 20% in the field in terms of scoring, so he can definitely score. Last 35 days, he's 29th off the tee, 28th in approach. The short game sucks, or has sucked, I should say. 67th around the green and 59th in putting. But if he can, put it in the right spot and get it going a little bit, I think he could, easily, pay off his money. And, he's played twice. I mean, he got 27th and, 17 when he just was a nobody that really nobody ever heard of. And he missed the cut, last year. So hopefully the results may be somewhere in between. So there's number one. The other two are a little further down the model, shall we say. So I'm going to go 27 and I'm going to take Doug Gim. So one of the more really, and I keep saying this, but I really was intrigued by the Lucas Glover and Johnny Vegas threesome with Doug Gim. I actually think all three of them will do pretty well, and that's probably one group I probably watch in the afternoon if I'm able to watch it. He's top 20 field in terms of points scored. So his last 35 days, 36th off the tee, 20th in approach, 49th around the green, and 100th in putting, and he's got 5 top 37s in his last 8 starts. So I figured it was worth a flyer off the grid. Don't think too many people will take him except the diehard golf fans, but hopefully he can fit in the lineup. And then I'm going to go on board with the hype train once, and I'm going to take a stab at Harry Higgs. I don't really.
Oh, I love that pick.
I'm having a hard time really explaining why people are on it, so I feel like I'm missing something. And just because I think 7K is kind of fun, I'm going to take a stab at it. What I could find is that maybe I'm catching him at the right time. So the last 2 starts, he's 29th and 19th, so maybe he's on an upswing. What's been carrying him has been the approach play, because the last 35 days, he's 8th in approach. I'm okay with the 41st around the green and the 53rd 53rd off the tee and the 61st in putting. But, you know, I mean, if the approach keeps going, he should probably finish in the top 20 if he keeps at the pace. And then he's just outside the top 30% in terms of the comps. So without really much of a, you know, history kind of to speak on the course, it kind of seems like he ought to do okay. And he's got one of those afternoon tee times. So yeah, Harry Higgs is my play, and we'll take a stab at it.
Love it.
So Munoz, Higgs, and Gim. And then I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit, and I'm just going to fade the hell out of Luke List. You know, Vertigo sucks, and I'm not making any, like, excuses for it. But, you know, if he came out with Vertigo last week, I'm not going to touch you until I'm convinced you get it under wraps. So prior to that, you know, he missed the cut 3 times and finished 63rd in additional time. So that form is just crap. And then you look at the, you know, short-term last 35 days, he's 39th off the tee, but 72nd around the green, 84th in approach, and 74th in putting. I know List can't putt, but, you know, thanks, but no thanks.
Wow. It's the first time Guru's faded the hell out of somebody.
Yeah, for sure.
That's big
it felt
time.
Good. I want to do that every week.
Top 20 coming up.
Probably.
All right, let me get my 7Ks out of the way, and we'll get into some value plays. I also had Munoz. That guy, when he's on in this field in the windy conditions. He's 6th in par 5s, which I really think is important. He is 16th in approach. I mean, all the reasons Guru talked about. I like Munoz a lot, especially at that mid-7 range at 7,500 or 7,600. My other guy, I have 2 more. I have one that just got faded by Pro, and that's Champ. And I know his form has not been good, but I really like him in this tournament. I really like him in windy conditions and in this field based on my model. In the statistics point out, he is number 1 off the tee in this field. He's also number 1 in driving distance in this field. He's number 7 in tee to green in this field. He's number 11 in opportunities gained. He's number 1 in ball striking. He's 15th in birdie or better, and he's 23rd in par 5s. That's under the winning condition model. So at that price point, at the very minimum 7K, he's pretty much in the 6K range. I'll take a flyer on him. I'm not betting him. I'm not gonna. I thought about betting him outright, and I still might at 110.
That's a terrible idea.
It probably is. It probably is a terrible idea, and I probably won't go there. But it's. I like those crazy shit ideas. And then I got a surprise play based on the numbers, and once again, I'm probably going to blow up because I've got the wrong model because I am going with a windy model. I got Eric Van Rooyen, and he looked really good. His form is strong. He finished really high in my model, and believe it or not, in the statistics from Fantasy National, 7th in approach, 5th off the tee, 6th greens in regulation, 2nd tee to green, 14th birdie or better, and 5th in ball striking. And he ranks 5th in my model in windy conditions. And he's sitting there at $7,500. Like I said, he's in good form. And so I got him, and then I'm fading. Huh?
I don't hate it.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, and so I really like him. And then I've got Howell, the 3rd, and just because he's easy to fade because he sucks. And so, and I don't have to give any stats. He's right now. All he is a name that used to be pretty good. And fight me if I'm wrong.
Fair. That's not
harsh,
fair at all.
That's harsh. But true.
I don't. Yeah, come on, man. Charles Howell is a machine. He's a cut making machine out there.
Okay, well, play him. He wasn't on your list.
Well,
he's on my fade list. And so now, of course, he will go out there and make a cut, and who knows what he does. I've played him a few times, and I hate seeing that 76 in one of the 4 days. And so anyway, he's my fade. So that brings us to the 6K value plays. Pro's fired up. Go ahead and give us your 6Ks, Pro.
Yeah, I think we've kind of beat this horse for a while at this range. It's Jim Furyk. I mean,
what?
No.
Can you talk me out of Jim Furyk? I mean, I expect Jim Furyk to be on multiple lineups here as we move through this. I'm also going to go with Adam Schenk. He tied for 7th here the last time they played in 2019. He's 6,800. I'm going to take him. I'm also going to roll with Nick Taylor. Those are, I mean, I'm not, those are my 3 at 6. That's where we're at. I do like Catfish, Jimbo, Furyk out there, though.
I do too. And I by the way, when we get to mine, I did 5 6K players because it's just value plays. I just want to throw a few extras in there. Yeah, and All Falcon Day says it's golf 76 has happened. Yeah, but 76 is they don't win you tournaments. And I'm not trying to win with that guy, but I'm trying to get a little bit better when I'm betting him. And so
as long as they're followed up by 66s, I'm good.
And they're not with Howell. So okay, Justin, 6K, some value plays. What do you got?
Okay, well, obviously, with taking them all into account, Furyk's one of the guys that I like. I'll move past him. I like Will Gordon. He's been sneaky consistent, and he's sitting there at 6,800. We got him at 160 to 1. There's worse plays out there than him for sure. So Will Gordon would be my second guy. There's a third guy I like that Dave sold me on that I'll save for him to give the introduction, and I like Lashley again too. They keep leaving him right there in that 6K range, and he's been steady. He's been playing pretty well. So those will be the 4 guys that I would have some action on in the 6K range.
Okay, and then I'll go ahead and go, and I'll let Guru finish up the 6Ks. And Guru, I'm just going to let you know, I want you to think about this while I'm rattling mine off. No more sandbagging here, man. He gives the show these value plays, and then he goes outright with 3 different plays, and he wins all the money, and everybody else is like, well, I didn't hear that on the show.
I thought I put Kucher out there, and I thought I put Horschel out there too. Put it in the article, bet them both. I mean,
I know.
Nick's green screen's covering up a yacht behind him on the ocean.
I talked about this guy earlier in the week. I like Kevin Chappell. It's $6,900. He is the top range of the 6K range. But he is, he had that injury, and he's come back from the injury, and he's been getting it together. And thank you, All Falcon Day. He won some money with the model last week. Thank you. We appreciate that, and we appreciate you. But Chappell, in windy conditions, is right up there with the best of them. Okay, and as a matter of fact, he's 5th in approach, 15th in driving distance. He's 8th in tee to green. He's 10th in opportunities gained. He's 4th in birdie or better. And he's 9th in ball striking. Those are all really good numbers for a guy that's 140 to 1 and in the 6K range and for this course. And so I'm all over some Kevin Chappell. I also like Danny Lee. And I like Danny Lee this week. He popped pretty good for me. 5th in birdie or better, 7th par 5s, 27th off in approach, 22nd off the tee. They're not huge numbers, but we're talking about a guy that's $6,500, 17th in ball striking. I just think this could be a week that he can come out there and do something. And so I got Lee. Then I got a really a Furyk. I'm not even going to mention Furyk. I got Furyk in there, but I got 2 other kind of really out there guys. And Nick's going to just look at me like I'm crazy. I got Nick Watney. And the reason I got Nick Watney is he's $6,200. Okay. He's free. And he's 600 to 1, by the way. And I'm not, I just, we're going to talk about Roger Sloan, but Nick Watney at $6,200 in this field in the windy condition model. Remember, this is windy condition model. He is good. Okay. And in this field in the last 24 rounds, he is 9th in approach. He's 13th in distance, 6th in greens and regulations, 12th in tee to green, 7th in opportunities gained, and he's top 10 in ball striking in this field in windy conditions. At $6,200, why not? I can jam a lot of guys up top and put him. He's my this week's CT Pan. And that's exactly what I paid for CT Pan a few weeks back when I hit that GPP. And then the last but not least is Kyle Stanley. Kyle Stanley is another guy, 8th in approach. He's 7th in opportunities gained, 13th in ball striking, 19th in greens and regulations, and he's only $6,500. I really like some value in these 6K range this week. And so Chappell, I love him. I love Lee, Watney, Furyk, Stanley. All those guys will be in my pool as I develop a strategy for a lot of low dollar, heavy lineups, and we're going to have some fun with that. Who wants to talk about I'll go ahead and let Guru go, and then somebody needs to talk about Roger Sloan.
No, we can talk Roger Sloan now. It's fine because you guys keep taking all my picks. So, I got to dig up somebody else just to make it interesting.
Well, who got taken?
So, it's funny you went with Watney because I'm kind of with Justin on this one, and they're in the same group. But I was going to take a flyer with Will Gordon, so kudos on you for digging up Gordon. Interesting thing for the last 35 days there. So he's 4th off the tee and 19th in putting, and he's in the top 40% in comps. And I really don't think much of the he's first off in the afternoon, and I've been let's see, hold on, maybe confusing my tee times here. Just make sure I get this right. Hang on a second, and yeah, I've been a Watney guy over the years, and I keep waiting for him to come back. But, we've had this discussion, or you guys have had this discussion on, the other show, and we talked about it, these older guys that fall out of form that just can't seem to get back for whatever reason. And I think I've firmly put Watney in that group because he makes sense. He fits, but the form just sucks. And if he comes out and pops off, and I hope to God he does, because that would be a hell of a 600 to 1 shot. But I was going to say, and
I'm already get to $3,000.
And I'm already fading List. So yeah. And once I saw that pairing, Will Gordon made sense, especially knowing that he had, had a little bit on the table. So Gordon was one. Pat Perez is really boring, but you know what? He stood out to me too, and I'm going to take him. He's in that Munoz ZJ group. You notice all of my guys are confined to the same damn threesomes, because I think that's what this is going to work out. I think a lot of these threesomes are just going to pop off, score really well, and the other groups are just going to suck. They're going to get caught bad wind direction changes, afternoon, morning, whatever you want to call it. I think all the scoring is going to be heavy in a couple of spots, and maybe I picked it right, maybe not, but at least I'll go down swinging the way I want to. But Perez has got 4 top 50s in the last 6 starts. He's got 4 top 22s in the last 5 trips here, on the course. So he can get around the course a little bit. And the recent stats aren't terrible. They're not great, but I mean, they're kind of middle of the road, 59th off the tee, 54th in approach, 52nd in putting, and 30th around the green. So I'll take a stab. But like you, I have to give you credit for Watney because I went deep diving again too. I figured everybody would take Furyk and everybody would just jump to the first couple names on there. But I was on Vincent Whaley last week, and I'm going to go back to Vincent Whaley yet again because he didn't really piss me off last week. He just did enough to scoot by and not make me hate him again. He's a little lower in the model than I normally go digging, but 81st seemed okay for me, and he's 6,100 too. So maybe we should put our 6,100 guys up and see how they go. But he's top 20%, comps, which is okay. He's got 4 top 50s in the last 4, so I think he'll make the cut. But his stats still kind of check out. He was 42nd in approach and putting over the last 35 days, and then he was 57th off the tee and 57th around the green. I don't expect him to work miracles, but if he makes the cut, gets around, catches a couple of good gusts to win, maybe he'll sneak up the leaderboard a little bit. So yeah, Whaley was my deep dive down the board, fill out a lineup and see how it goes, especially finding out that the last couple of years the salary was left on the table. 3 years ago, I believe it was 1,300. I think 2 years ago it was 5,500. 3 years ago it was 4,500, and 2 years ago it was 5,500. So if you're looking at the last 3-year average, they left $3,700 as an average on the table. At some point, you're going to have to find some guys down low that you like, and then taking the model a step further. The last 3 years, there was 2 guys. Each of the optimal lineups had 2 guys that were double-digit owned. Everybody else was single digits. Average ownership was around 50%. 1 year it was in the 30s, 1 year it was in the 40s, and 1 year it was right around 60. So they can be cheap, they can be low-owned, and they just have to fit by whatever metrics you think they're going to fit. Play them. Don't be afraid. It's worked out before, and it probably work out again.
I love it. Yeah. Well, that we've talked about a lot of players for DFS, and so if you're a DFS player, I think hopefully we gave you a lot to chew on in It's been hitting. There's one guy that I want to talk about real quickly. That I sent a message to all you guys on yesterday or Sunday night, and that's Cam Davis. I just, I had him all locked and loaded, and I still have him in my outright, because we're going to go straight to outrights, and on my outrights won't be official. We'll put all our outrights out tomorrow night. But Cam Davis at 60-1. I really like him. I know he ended up 45th in your model, and he dropped down in my model when I added the moderate win to it to like the 25 range. But I still like him, and I still bet him already because I just like the number. And some of my other outrights are Tringali. I'm looking at him. I'm looking closely at Scheffler, obviously. Hoffman, Chappell at 140-1. I'm all over him. But I should have a good idea of my official outrights tomorrow when we post them on Twitter. Any outrights you want to share, Pro?
Yep. Speed 12-1. Easy chalk. Answer 20-1. I like Keegan 45-1, and finally Phil 110-1.
Boy, would that be huge news?
It'd be fun
if he was to win one at 110. Yeah, that would be awesome. I like those. I like all of them. Ryan just goes. Akshay Bhatia might be good first round leader bet. He torched
the lefty. He's got a lot of potential. He's going to be a name that'll be on leaderboards in the future. I'm not sure if I'm betting the first round leader from him, but he's got some skill.
Yep. Justin, I know you got some outrights.
Yeah, I got some outrights, some top fives. I got Ryan Palmer. I did answer in a top five. Just because I like him to win next week. I like him to be really competitive this week. I took him in the top five. I got an outright on Palmer. I got Will Gordon 160-1. I got Keegan and Zach Johnson at 45-1, and I've got some top fives on them too. So those will be my 4 or 5 guys, and we'll see. I'm sure I'll sprinkle a first round leader or two in.
It's going to be tough for us to come up with our consensus picks.
A lot of choices, man. There's a lot of options this week.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, all right, we're waiting on Guru now for some of your outrights.
I've got 6, and I've already locked them in because that's what I did before I came on the air.
Let's hear them.
So I'm going to take Decky. I'm going to take the 18-1, and I'm just going to throw that one away when it just, doesn't cash. But if it cashes, I'll just quietly just go about my business. So I locked in Tringali because if I'm not really going to heavily use him in DFS, I'm still going to I'm still gonna bet because it makes some sense to me. But the more interesting ones to me were lower down because I'm just gonna let it ride. So I'm gonna fire back with Kucher at 50-1. I'm gonna take Brendan Grace at 75-1. Seems to be kind of trendy, and I see it, and the odds are actually pretty good. But my believe it or not, my favorites were actually the 2 higher ones, and I don't know why. Maybe it's you just get a taste of the longer shot price, and you just keep chasing the dream. So shout out to my boy Justin here. So I'm gonna take some Gary Woodland at 95-1.
Oh,
welcome back, buddy. There's one for you.
I love it.
And I keep waiting for it to happen, and maybe I need to make it happen. So my long shot dream of the week is I'm going to take some Matt Wallace at 110-1.
Wow.
Same as Phil.
There's my 6, and here's hoping at least one of us cashes something somewhere.
I got Hideki, Kucher, Grace, Woodland, and Wallace. Who's the 6th one?
Tringali.
Oh, Tringali.
Yeah.
Wow. I like it. I like it a lot. I believe I have a little Woodland already going too. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Hey, we do got an optimal lineup this weekend. And let's get it up there, man. Right now, here's what we got. Easy for you to read there, buddy.
Thank you, because I needed a minute to remember what it was myself, so that's great. So the way everything priced out, we were able to come up with a pretty good lineup that spent, all 50,000, and we were projecting a nice crisp 567.7 points, and that is made up of Scotty Scheffler, who was number 1 in the model. He was 10,400. Corey Connors was number 2 in the model. He was 9,500. And that's one of the few weeks that I can remember an optimal spitting out 1 and 2. It's been pretty close. So I was happy and kind of surprised at the same time that it was 1-2, because I think that's actually a pretty good sign that, at least one of them should do pretty well. Steele popped off. Brendan Steele popped off number 6 in the model, and he was next in the optimal at 9,100. Then Sebastian Munoz was 16th in the model and 7,600. And then we were able to sneak in 2 fairly highly ranked 6K guys. Jim Furyk was 18th in the model, and he was 6,800. And then Cameron Percy was the next man up at 6,600, and he's 32nd in the model. It's a little hodgepodge of everything, which I kind of like. I mean, you've got some form, you've got some course history, you got some guys that can score relative to the field. There's definitely some places, to add and subtract if you don't like somebody, but I think it's a pretty good, starting block or core to kind of build from and, adjust to your pleasure. But it's probably something I'll actually play.
I'm probably going to play it too, especially when I see that 567.7. That's a really big number. And, when I think about the GPP I won was 531. And so to be able to get up to that 567 number, that's all those 6 guys are going to be right up there in the top 10, top 20. And you're probably going to have first and second too. But I think that's what we got, first and second right there. And so that's pretty cool. We did have a question, Abe Answer Masters pick. Yeah, I threw out an Abe Answer teaser for the Masters today. As I was doing a little research, and everybody knows the greens in regulation are so huge at Augusta, and the fact that he was right there number 2 behind DJ in greens in regulation. It was his first trek around the course last year, and he finished 13th, and he matched DJ with 5 fairways gained over the field, and fairways in regulation over the field, and he was second in greens in regulation. Quietly, he's 60-1 or 66-1 in Augusta, and so you know what? I'm probably going to have some of him next week as well, just because of the things that I think you have to do well in Augusta. He's doing well, and he may not be ready to win a major, but it'll be a fun bet. And at 66-1, I'll throw a few dollars on him. I mean, what else do I got to do with it? So
that's it.
But next week we are looking forward to a lot of Masters talk. Thursday night we're going to talk. We're going to be back on the air Thursday night talking about day 1 and the carnage that happened, and hopefully it's all good. To the point, I'm admitting it, guys. I'm a fish. I'm out there admitting it. I probably put way too much into the wind at San Antonio, and when you look at the scores last year. It didn't seem to bother anybody in 2019 because they were in the 20 range won it. But I am playing it a little bit, and that's why I didn't go windy AF. I went moderate wind, and that's how I came up with my model. And we'll see where it lands. But reminder to everybody, we appreciate you. You mean so much to our show. We love doing this. And it takes a lot of time to prepare. Everybody on this panel works really hard to try to put out the best statistics as we can, the best rationale for winning. And it's really nice to get those tweets and those messages saying, "Hey, you helped us win money." And that means more to us than anything. And it's really exciting to see that. And we're grateful for those tweets, and we're grateful for the mentions and the private messages. Get on the YouTube. Put your comment. Put on the comment. Don't forget. Pick your winner. Go out there. Pick your winner, and we're going to give away a free picture of that winner if he wins. And Ryan's already got one of Berger. Nobody else has had one since. And the reason is nobody's doing it. I'm just being honest. We get 3 or 4 people out there putting their picks in, and we want to fill that thing up. Just get out there. I hope 30 people put a comment on who they think is going to win this weekend, because we would love to give away another picture. So please try to do that. Comment, subscribe, and share. Let people know that you appreciate what we're doing, and it makes us work even harder for you. Any final thoughts, guys? Guru, any final thoughts on this week and what you're planning for the Masters? Any teasers?
Well, the article and whatever other goodness for the rest of this week will come out tomorrow at some point, so that'll be fun. The master stuff will probably start trickling out over the weekend. I figure there'll be a couple of things, and I suspect we'll probably have 2 shows or something like that next week, so that ought to be fun. And
Masters week is like Super Bowl. We should do a show every night.
We might be doing a show every night. There's enough content out there, and people already get it going, so we probably need to catch up. So
it's Super Bowl week.
Yeah.
And touching on those futures, if you got a guy that you like for the Masters that you think is going to play well this week, might want to go ahead and grab him because price isn't going to get better; it's going to get worse. So if you got a guy you like, go ahead and get him locked in there.
Truth be told, I got most of my Masters picks already done. I'm like Spieth right now is 14-1. I got him at 33, and I've got Scheffler, I've got Neiman, I've got a bunch of players that I've already got my 5. And so now that don't mean I might throw a few more and I might do some parlays. I'm gonna bet the shit out of the Masters.
Yeah, it's the best. It's just the best.
Groups, all that stuff. And so anyway, I didn't put any straight forecast bets tonight. Maybe we'll post a few on Twitter tomorrow. If you guys got any straight forecast bets for tomorrow, let's post those out there too.
All right, man. We can do that.
Yes.
Yeah,
we can do that.
But last week I came damn close to that Rom and Hoffman. But anyway, that nice smart ass comment from All Fucking Day. How do you make Masters picks without knowing the win? Because we know there's not ever a whole lot of winners.
Oh man,
I love that guy. Well, cool. Well, hey, thanks. Yeah. Well, hey, this has been a great show. Thank you for all the comments, guys, and we'll see you guys on Thursday night. In the meantime, man, peace out, everyone.
Yep. See ya.
Did you get all that? If not, make sure you head over to Hammercast.com, subscribe, and join the Hammer Nation. Until next time, keep grinding.